Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Ancient Texts Revealed. Dr. Heldman here. I had a viewer send me a question asking me about were there any female Nephilim? And I want to go over this because I think it presents a pretty interesting area of conversation for you. So let's get started. Now, in the introduction to this movie, I said female Nephilim, but in the title of the slide deck here, it says female demigods. So what am I talking about here? So this comes from the men of old, the men of renown out of Genesis 6 and elsewhere. And there are lots and lots of scholars that believe that when the Watchers fell to the earth, they had sex with human women. The human women gave birth to these giant creatures. They're called the Nephilim. Nephal means great or large, and im means plural. And then they subsequently began having relations with women. And ultimately, the question is, were there any female Nephilim that were born out of this tryst between human women and male Nephilim? And I believe that there were. And the more interesting characteristic about this is that I think, lots of biblical scholars think, that have really researched this, this is where the Greco-Roman, Babylonian, Assyrian, Akkadian, Norwegian, all of the other demigods came from. So this was a result of some sort of a mixing. Could have even been a DNA sort of hybridization program of some kind, who knows? But this is where we get gods like Zeus and Pan, etc. All these demigods, it doesn't matter if it was from Greece or Rome or anywhere else, these demigods are a result of, these are Nephilic, if I can use that word, Nephilic offspring. And so let's do a little investigation of this, because if you agree with me that these demigods that we see in Greco-Roman mythology, there are female demigods in there. I believe that they are a descendant of a Nephilim tribe. And so let's take a look at this and see how this goes. So a viewer asked me this question. I thought it was a very salient question. Hey, question, if the Watchers looked on women with lust, are we to conclude there are no female angels? Yes, I think that's correct. And you might come up with a scripture where Jesus said there's no marriage or giving in marriage in heaven. I think it's pretty clear from Genesis 6 that the angels that fell had the ability to have sex with human women, but that doesn't mean that they have sex in heaven. So even though they're equipped to do that, they do not do that because they're in heaven. I think that's the answer to that. I don't think it's a hard and fast, hey, God has somehow disenabled you from having children or being married or anything like that. The second part of the question was also, there were probably no female Nephilim since they didn't procreate. And that's something that I do want to talk about. So the answer is, I believe there are no female angels in heaven, and there are no female Nephilim. I do not believe that. I think that there are female demigods, and let's go look at some of them. So my answer is threefold. I think the assumption that there are no female angels is correct. However, based upon what we know about the fallen Watchers, we can assume that they have the correct male parts to be able to procreate. As the Nephilim, now you've got to remember that the Watchers fell on Mount Hermon. These are angels. It was 200 angels. They specifically wanted to have sex with human women, which they did. The children were called the Nephilim. It derives from the term Nephal. And this is the product of fallen Watcher male angels and female humans. They were born, they grew up, and then they began having relations with women. And therefore, because women carry the female chromosome, it's possible that it could have been passed to a female Nephilim. Because the Nephilim are called the men of renown, and we see tons and tons and tons of Greco-Roman gods, these, what they're calling gods, I believe are actually Nephilim that were on the earth at that time. They were some sort of a hybridized type of thing. We know that the Nephilim were very, very involved in DNA modification, gene modification. Could have been a hybrid of some sort of chimera, if you will. But it's reasonable to assume that there were female demigods. And here's some examples for you. So Helen of Troy, she was the daughter of Zeus and Leda, and she would be a demigod. And I'm not going to go into detail on this movie. You have the ability to go out and use Dr. Google or whoever, AI, whatever is great for you, and you can research about this character, Helen of Troy. But this is a demigod. It's a beautiful statue, too. And then we have a woman named Harmonia, and she was the daughter of Aphrodite and Ares. So Aphrodite would have been a demigod, as would Harmonia. And then let's see, we've got Climine or Climina. She was the daughter of Oceanus and Tethys, and she was a mother of Atlas and Prometheus. So she too was a female demigod. And then we have Persephone. She was the daughter of Demeter and Zeus. What's really interesting about Persephone is she is the goddess of the Greco-Roman underworld. So that is something that I'm going to talk about in another movie, which is very interesting. And then finally, these are called the 9 Muses. These were the daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne, and there are 9 of them. Calliope, which must be where we get the word Calliope from. It's a very old word. Clio, Erato, Euterpe, Melpomene, did I say that right? Melpomene, yep. Polymnia, Terpsichore, Talia, and Urania. What's really interesting about this is that they are dancing there with their father Apollo. So these were demigods. I hope this helps you. This is worth researching, and the bigger question isn't necessarily the female demigods. The bigger question is, did all of these demigods arrive out of these various Nephilic tribes? There were several of them, and of course, as time went on, just like it goes on for humans, and we procreate and we, go out into the world and we have different civilizations, this was the case with these demigods as well. Thank you for watching. Really love it that you watch my videos. If you like these videos, please subscribe, tell your friends about it, let everyone know about it. I'm trying to grow the channel. I've gotten some really, really good watching views lately. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. And you're welcome to comment as this viewer did. And I will talk to you in the next video. Baruch Hashem. God bless. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.